hopping a hand for
Be careful.
and Scott Higgins, both of them coked up out of their minds.
Listen to you. He's down in the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I think we should call this the Acement.
The Acement, yes.
Yeah, what do you think there, huh?
I like that. The Acement Studios.
Excuse me, I'm drinking beer. Hold on a second.
We usually drink bourbon on our end
Yeah,
when we
right.
do the podcast, so
That's all right.
feel free to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You shoot an 8-ball if you want. We don't care, as long as it's good stories.
Welcome to the Acement, everybody. It's time to go behind the funny. This is Scott Higgins.
And this is Ace Aceto.
And welcome to show number 2 this evening.
Yeah, we're big tonight.
Yeah, we just had an episode with a very, very funny young man named Cody Brunette. And now we have our second funny young man of the evening joining us in studio.
Yes.
We don't do a lot of these. We're starting to do them again, which is nice to have somebody
trying.
in studio. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, thank you all for, again, joining us live as you do. If you haven't joined us live, we go live every Wednesday night at approximately 8:30.
Yeah, somewhere
a little
around
late
that.
tonight because
Yeah.
we're doing 2 episodes, but we usually go live at 8:30 on twitch.tv/drinks, jokes, and storytelling. That's the letter N, storytelling. Or go to our Facebook page, Behind the Funny. You can also, help us out by wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give us that 5-star review.
All of a sudden, you sounded a little tough, like a little tough guy.
You know, because I'm getting...
Hey, all of a sudden, you can help me by helping yourself and...
help me, help you, help me, help you.
Give us a 5-star review,
You know, I got a
I don't
little
know.
Brian Vincent.
Hey, I'm a little Brian Vincent there.
I'm 3 scotches in.
I'm 3 scotches in, so fuck it.
So fuck it.
But listen, we don't have Brian Vincent on tonight. We have James Firth on tonight. And we're really excited to have James back. Welcome back, James.
And for those of you that don't know
be.
James Firth, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
I wish I was Brian Vincent too. That would have been a much more fun episode.
Why is it for some reason James just has the personality that makes you want to shit on him? He's one of the nicest guys, the most laid back guys.
All
And
I know.
I think that's what does it, because the last time we had him on, so back up, because it was like what, first season or second season?
It was very early.
It was
on.
in the
It was
garage.
very early
It
on.
was in the garage pre-frozen season, because you weren't cold.
It was
So we
around
had-
summertime, I believe that
It
we
was
had
Chris
John.
Thomas. We had Alan Moreau.
Right.
That we had the young guys, we called it.
Yeah, we called it
With-
the young
with the
guys, but
three
it was
guys.
literally like season 1 or 2,
Yeah.
and it was like one of our first panel shows where we had a
Yeah.
group of guys
Yep.
who were all younger, newer guys in comedy, and James was one of the guys that was on there, and then I realized, like, we never had you on, just you, right? Just to talk about your career.
I don't think so.
No,
All I know is
He
you are
also got a little busy.
you are liked,
I'm gonna move the camera first.
and you are loved by your fellow comedians, because we had
Thank you.
Kirsten Logan on.
That's all I want.
Well, back in November, we had Kirsten Logan on. Had a great episode with her. Hilarious comedian. If you haven't listened to that episode, I don't know why. You got to go back and listen to that one.
Just worked with her this weekend.
We had so much fun with her on. Well, you came up because she was talking
Well.
about people she worked with. You came up and we busted your balls a little bit because, again, I don't know what it is. You're just one of those guys.
It's because you take it.
I've
so
been getting
well.
shit on my entire life, and I've been looking
But
for an explanation. I don't know what I'm
But
doing.
I don't know.
I know.
I don't know what it is. There are certain guys that are very likable and nice, and you pick on them, and it is a way of
It's love.
it is. It's out of love.
Right.
But we started saying something about you, and she
You
came to
sound
your
like an abuser.
Yeah,
I know it's
I
weird.
know.
It's awful
But
to
I
say.
love you, James.
But in comedy, it's not abuse. That's the sad part. But she came to your defense
She jumped on us
fast
yeah.
and jumped on us and said, "Don't you talk about my James like that. I love James Firth."
Yeah.
And
See?
she actually intimidated me.
Yeah.
I stopped saying anything about you.
You know, it was funny. I worked with her this week, and she shared with me that she has not had a drink since our episode. I think we killed like a good bottle and a half of this shit.
Yes, we drank a lot.
So-
We finished last.
Literally, it's just-
We finished last year very strong with bourbons and scotches.
Yes, we did.
We
Yeah,
finished very strong.
So we're pacing ourselves now.
So,
So let's talk to James. First we didn't talk
our
about our
bourbon
bourbon
date.
day. Bring it over. Bring
our
it over.
Bourbon date this week.
It's funny because I was just re-listening to the Justin Morales episode today, and I said to Scott, I said, hey, do we have a bourbon date for tonight? He goes, no. Why? Who are you thinking? And I said, you know what? Let's go back to Up and Down, the Colonel's Cut. So we are drinking Up and Down bourbon, bourbon infused with fig and orange. So it's basically it's an old fashioned in a bottle. So
Very, very good stuff. Go
Clinkies. I
delicious.
thought I had a little more,
Yeah.
but
Well, maybe you need to top it off
I
then.
need to tap it.
But if you want to check them out, go to the website Savor Up and Down. That's the website they have 3 different mixes right now. They have as they call it, the OG. You know, you can share a little there, brother. Top it off.
I love it.
You know, make it a little
James?
darker. James needs some.
Bring it over.
Savor Up and Down. They have the OG, of their Up and Down Rockin' Bourbon. They have the pumpkin mash, and this is the Colonel's Cut, which has got a little more bite to it, but it's still very, very tasty. So thank you to Justin for introducing us to that, and
Clinkies
best of
for
luck to
everyone.
him. And
Cheers,
James, thanks for joining us.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
joining
Kirsten.
us. And that's all the time we have for now. Thanks,
Yeah.
James, for being on.
We're gonna fucking drink now.
No, you know what? I'm excited because we didn't get to talk to James about his career and how he started and stuff like that when we were on last time. So
James,
let's-
how long have you
dig
been
into
doing
it.
comedy?
I think 5 years. I don't know. It all blends together.
All right,
I don't-
maybe
I
you
don't
should
have
put
a-
that drink
Well,
down.
you
do we
because like you didn't have enough.
overwhelm you with a question already?
Like you didn't have enough on your plate. You decided while finishing nursing school
Yeah.
and getting a job during a pandemic in nursing, I'm going to do
Let me
comedy
do
too.
comedy. Yeah, exactly.
I'm full of good decisions.
Let's see how much more stress I can put on my back all at once.
Yeah, no, I just want attention and I want people to like me.
Yeah.
Isn't that why we all
That's why
started
we
doing
exactly.
this?
We have all sorts of complicated answers, but at the end of the day, we're just wanting people to notice us,
Right, yeah.
and make people laugh. That's it.
Exactly. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in Providence.
In Providence, off of Gentian Avenue?
Yeah.
Wasn't it?
How do you know that?
Because I dropped you off at your parents' house one time before you moved.
Oh,
Yeah,
you have
see?
a really good memory.
I
can't
do.
even remember when I started comedy.
I think
Remember
that
my
was. I
streets.
think.
That's-
I know. He's going,
Yes.
I think it's 5 years, and you're going, you lived on.
You're so much smarter than me.
That was scary.
Yeah, it was really good.
You like to wear unicorn pajamas to bed too. I see it in the front window.
All my secrets.
No, because when we did the gig together up in Vermont, Castleton University, which we can talk about a little bit later, I picked you up at the hospital because you were finishing up a internship shift,
Oh, yeah, cool.
and then I dropped you off at your parents' house when you were still there.
Oh, yeah.
So you grew up in Providence. Any siblings?
Yep, I have one older brother.
Okay,
Of
older
course.
brother. Yep.
Of course.
That's so in the 5 years we've been doing this podcast, we have found that most comics,
I think it was 5 or less
5 or less
out of
were firstborn.
233 episodes. 5 or less were firstborn.
Wow, you should do a study or
Yeah,
something.
I know, that's like a-
scientific information,
Isn't
Yeah.
it?
You
Isn't
could do it. You have the memory.
I
for
know.
It. That was
Yeah, I got the background too.
also,
Yes.
I don't like people knowing where my parents live.
Yeah, well,
We-
I didn't give you the number.
Don't look for my mom.
Yeah.
Mom and dad, you
Yeah.
need to invest in a security system.
I know. No, but we've in all the years that we've been doing this, we have found that most times the comedian in the family is the middle child or the youngest.
Yeah.
And what does your older sibling do for a living?
Oh, he just lives in a group home.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, he's not really able to work.
All right. Well, that shoots the theory down because usually they're doctors or lawyers or
Oh,
stuff
my
like
brother
that.
is not a
No.
doctor. He's far from a doctor.
No.
James is like, he sees a doctor.
Yes,
But he's
exactly.
not a
multiple
doctor.
doctors, as a matter of fact. But so what made you want to get up on stage that first time and do comedy?
I just I didn't have the balls like Cody. I didn't have the courage to do in high school, but eventually it builds up and you're like, I want to do this. And then eventually it just kind of explodes and you got to do it.
So you talked about it. You didn't have the balls. So comedy was something you were interested in before you tried it. Yeah. So like, in high school or before that, what made you interested in stand up? Who were those people that you watched and said, oh, I would love to try that, to do it? Who are your comedy heroes, if you will, or people you like to listen to?
Louis C.K. and Bill Burr were the main two.
Yeah.
And I still love them too.
I can see that. You know, because I don't want to say any of your jokes, but you have a few jokes that I love. Every comedian that I've worked with, they usually have a couple of jokes that I love to watch them do, because I know what's coming at the end of it, and I love to watch the crowd react
and the different reactions
to the
of
joke.
Different crowds, right?
And you have that delivery that sneaks up on people because you're not an animated performer, like a Dane Cook.
Nah,
Louis C.K. is not over animated either.
Right.
So your delivery is very similar to that type of thing. It's the words that paint the picture,
right? And
you'll set the tone for the story, and then come out of left field with something that they don't see coming, and it's funny as hell. And you do such a good job. I like your writing, is basically what I'm saying.
That's what I got, man.
Can you just tone it down a little? You're spiking the microphone. Okay, you're spiking the fucking microphone.
So were you the funny? All right, obviously you weren't like the life of the party in high school, but were you the one that would because you have a very dry wit, you have a very dry delivery of your material. So were you like that in high school? Like, were you the one in your friends, your group of friends, not necessarily that was cutting everyone up, but every once in a while you throw a bomb in the middle of the circle and it just explode?
Well, I've been like this my entire life because I can't verbalize my emotions. So this is the only way I can express myself, through my words.
It's through your words.
I have to paint a picture,
right?
Rather than
usually it's in black and white though, the way you're painting it.
Exactly.
It's not. But that's the funny thing. Like I talked about it before. We did a show one time. I booked it was a Funny for Fun show. It was at it was at my church. I've told about this show before because I've been doing it for like 4 years. It was at my church, and me and the feature were in the back of the room, and all I remember was just saying, look, this is a church show. We can't be dirty. Innuendo is okay, but we can't be dirty or anything like that. And I'm standing in the back and he's talking, and average age was pretty old. It was like 70, 75.
Corpse.
Yeah, corpse.
older. Yeah.
And he does this joke, and all I remember is the punchline is, "You pussy." And here's the thing, though. It was about World War II.
Yeah.
So here's this really older crowd that I'm literally standing at the table like this, and I look over at the feature and I go, did he just say pussy in church? And the feature is dying laughing. And I look up and the crowd is going nuts. They fucking loved it because of the context that he said it. Right. So even though he said a word that you would never expect to hear in a church hall, because it was it's about Nazis, right?
That's about tattoos.
It's
not necessarily about. I added that because I knew they were an older crowd.
Yeah. Okay.
So I added the World War II bit because I needed.
Yeah, it was World War II.
I needed to spice up the pussy a little bit. Something else. So I did that. But
I love how I had to spice up the pussy with a World War II joke. There's the name of this episode.
Spice up that.
James Firth, I had to spice up the pussy.
How to spice up the pussy with a World War II joke.
That just gotta spice up the pussy.
And so that's how you did it. You thought about that. This is why he's so loved, folks.
A good crowd is a good crowd, and
Yeah.
they can come in the most unexpected of places. And I've had crowds that should have been great that were terrible, and crowds that you would think are terrible that ended up being great. And sometimes just you never know.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
And
that's
they were really cool.
That's
So.
comedy in general. I've gone up in front of a packed crowd that you think, okay, this is going to be electric. It's horrible, and then you get up in front of 14 people, and they're like the greatest audience you've ever stood in front of.
Yeah.
You just, it makes no sense. It's just how you connect with the crowd that night. And it doesn't even matter if the comic in front of you did well. Sometimes it's just how you connect with the crowd that night. Because I followed a comic that did great and did not do as great, and vice versa. I've seen a guy not doing great, figured, oh my God, this is going to go terrible. And then I go up there and don't do that
You
bad.
never know, right?
You never know.
And you
it's
never
weird.
know what type of crowd it's going to be, too. I mean, like this show that I did with Kirsten Logan this past weekend, it was me, Kirsten Logan, and Wes Martins. It was at a bowling alley in Whitensville, Mass.
I have done that.
Yeah.
It's fun.
And normally
They're not a bad crowd,
no,
though.
but normally they're like 15 people. We had 50 people in there.
Oh,
I
Like,
saw
it
the
was a
picture.
big-
It was packed.
It was packed, So, and the owners were ecstatic that it was packed. But they said even the small crowds are always really good. So you never know what you're going to walk into. We all had good sets, So
The first time you tried it, where was it?
It's at the Iron Furnace in Quincy.
Iron Furnace. I don't
Who
know if
booked
that
that?
place.
That was Sean Carter. That was an open
Oh,
mic.
yeah.
I thought you were
Who
asking
books that?
who books that.
no. Sean Carter. It's now Sean Carter. Is that the one that
He's in
he just-
Tennessee now.
Yeah, he just opened up a
opened up a
Blue
club
Hills
comedy club.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he had an open mic. It was a good open mic.
Yep.
And I didn't do terrible. You mentioned like remembering some of your old jokes. I'm really glad I don't remember a lot of my old jokes because I was really bad. And I think many of us were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't.
But
I don't
you
think
might,
it's-
you might have had a germ of an idea that night that you could make something now,
Yeah.
because now you
That's
know
the
how
thing.
to write and make something of it.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it could have been total shit and you throw it away and you move on. I don't know. I have my very first time on videotape,
Wow.
and out of the 5 minutes, there is one joke that I did that when you listen to it, you could tell I turned that into something later on. The rest of it was all thrown out after that. I may have done it a couple times after that because I was new, but I never really developed much from it or
You
anything
guys
like
should
that.
make a Patreon, and that could be like what you get for subscribing.
The extra stuff. is
Yeah,
the
like-
shit that
like
we've
our
thrown away.
early
First 5
times.
minutes. Yeah.
Our
Well,
early times.
It's funny that you say that too, because I've gone back not so much to when I first started, but there's definitely jokes that I've cut just because of time. And I look and I'm like, why did I cut that? And then now I come back and I spice it up a little bit.
Well, after
with your
30
terms.
years, you've turned over a lot of jokes.
Yeah, but
so
it's
you
weird
just
how
you
some
just
of
stopped
them-
doing some because you started doing new stuff.
Yeah,
It's not because the joke was bad or anything.
No.
It's just you did new stuff.
but you bring it back, but you don't just bring it back the way it was before. You bring it back and kind of like refine it a little
Right,
bit. You know what I
right.
mean?
'Cause-
Because of the experience that you have now,
My-
where you look at it and go, "Oh, you know what? I think I can make this joke even funnier.
'Cause
This
it-
used to work well."
I
but-
was at dinner with my wife the other night, and she said to me, "Hey, do you still do this joke anymore?" And she mentioned a joke. I said, "God, I haven't done that in like 6-7 years."
right.
And she goes, that was one of your best jokes. I go, yeah, I just haven't had a reason to do it because I've been doing other stuff since then. I said, I gotta pull that out and do that again.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's got to be reworded or something. She goes, it always worked every
Yeah.
time you did it beforehand. And I didn't stop doing it because of a problem
No.
or anything. I just started doing new stuff.
You write
and
a
just
new
stopped.
You write a new
doing
5
it.
to 10 minutes, and you stick that in, and
Right.
something inevitably gets let go, and then you're
Right.
like, "Oh shit!"
And
Why
trust me,
isn't
for
that like
her
a-
to say,
That it
why
was
did you
funny?
stop doing
Yeah,
that?
Right.
It must have been a good joke.
That's a big deal.
Because she
right.
never compliments anything to do with comedy. So.
Right.
Or anything with you in general.
It
probably.
pretty much. Yeah.
No,
So-
she told me I parked the car well the other day in the driveway. First compliment I've gotten in years from her.
That's amazing.
Okay, this
Yeah.
isn't your marriage therapy class.
I'm gonna park in your
this
driveway
is-
and show her how it's done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna back
You come on.
Hey.
You can come on over and show her how a lot of
Yes.
things are done at this point. I've been married 31 years. Please.
Lisa's gonna be like, "There's some pasty white guy parking his car in our driveway. What the fuck is going on?
Did I do good?
Did I do good?"
She just watched Slender Man. He'll scare the shit out of her.
Yeah, right.
I'm naturally.
He is natural.
Now, so you obviously you did that up in Quincy. You got hooked. You're like, okay, I can do this
Did you do well that first time?
I mean,
enough to make
who
you
knows?
come back.
I mean, you're so deluded, and you know,
Yeah.
you don't know what well is at that point.
True.
I love talking to him. How'd you do? I don't know.
I don't know. you know, it was a different. I had a different perspective then. I have seen first open mics go much worse, and I you know,
You did okay.
I got some laughs. So
you
I-
did
Did
well.
pretty
You
good.
did well enough that made you want to get back up there and do it again, right?
That night that you did that first time, were there other people on the show that you knew?
There was one person that I ended up kind of getting to know a little bit later. I didn't know anybody.
You didn't know anybody that night going in.
No, but
Now you obviously watched the show because you're there. You know, as you're watching these other comics, were you thinking, okay, wow, I you know, I'm as good as that, or you know, were any thoughts in your head like, okay, I'm on a level playing field with these guys, so I can do this?
I think it was mostly being so nervous and trying not to forget things and just trying to go
That you
over
didn't even
stuff.
focus on
I
any of
didn't
that.
even pay
Yeah.
attention to any of that.
Do you remember your second time?
No,
Nobody does.
no one ever.
No one does.
Do you remember the first time that you bombed?
Fuck. No, I've bombed a lot. You know.
Well, we know, but the first time we're
No,
We-
I
we-
don't-
we've been there
I
for some of
remember, I remember some particularly bad bombs, but it wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily like early ones. I
Yeah.
remember the worst bombs I've had, but I don't remember like my.
Well, because a lot of people they'll start, and you know, when you first start, you got a lot of friends and family around usually. So you have those 3 or 4 great shows,
Yeah.
and then you do that first show where you don't know people, and usually it
So-
goes south pretty quick.
I will say I never was. I always knew that if I had people there that I knew they were going to feel uncomfortable enough where they would have to laugh at my material. I
Yeah.
already knew that it was going to be different when I had other people. So
Right.
I got into it very slowly. I didn't have a show with people that I knew until I was well into
Established a
writing
little
jokes.
Okay, so you didn't have your friends with you as a support system when you first started.
No, and I wouldn't want anyone there because I don't know what I'm doing. You know, like I new comedians suck, man. Like most.
But you'd be surprised how many people we've talked to that first time on stage they had 20 friends and family go watch them for that very first time. So they're like, I did great, or I thought I did.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
the second time I went to an open mic, I was by myself and I bombed horribly
Right.
because they didn't have their support system there being all nice to them.
I think that's just having a lot of self-esteem and being confident. I don't have that. You know, I've never had that. I'm a realistic
honest.
person. I know that like when you start anything, you're not good at it, and I don't
Right.
want people watching me be bad at something.
But something, you know, you have self-esteem issues.
Oh yeah.
You're craving attention.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're not good at this, but you kept going back.
Yeah, because I with stand-up comedy, if you work hard enough at it, you do get better, unless you're like some like just abnormal freak show of a human being
That wears a
Just-
clam suit and squirts people.
That guy's hilarious. Okay, that guy kills. All right,
No,
Joe
he
the
doesn't.
Clam Man. Yes, he does.
he does
I've heard
not.
stories of him destroying in the 80s.
He has.
He has
has.
destroyed.
I've seen it.
Maybe in the 80s.
All right, be nice. I like
I-
Joe.
One of the nicest people. One of the nicest people ever.
Also,
But
feeling uncomfortable.
I did several shows with people that in the late 2000s they would kill,
Mhm.
and they were doing the same exact act
Yep.
in the mid 2000s that they did in the late 80s, and it's not killing anymore.
Stop looking at me. All
No,
right.
you've changed it. No, but you know the people I'm talking about.
I know.
And they're doing the same act verbatim
Yeah.
that they did 20 years earlier, and it's not killing anymore. It's not even coming close to killing.
All right.
It's barely getting laughs.
All right.
And
This episode is
it's
about
uncomfortable.
James. Let's stop being uncomfortable
It's
and naming people that I've
it's
worked with
uncomfortable.
a million times.
I'm a very divisive figure. I
You
make
are.
people
Look
feel
at you. You
uncomfortable,
fucking
okay?
split a divide between me and Scott.
I create barriers.
You are.
I'm
An
gonna,
excitement.
I'm gonna
too.
break you guys up.
An excitement.
I'm gonna ruin you guys.
This relationship is more solid than my marriage. Okay, so I
That's
doubt
not good.
I doubt very much you. could
Listen,
break
we have a
this
whole
up.
montage of us bitching at each other from last
That's why
year.
I'm saying it's more.
At least you can park a car.
That's right.
Exactly.
I can too. So let me ask you this. What are some of the highlights of your career? Like in the 5 years you've been doing it,
Right.
are there people you've worked with or things that shows that you've been able to do that you were like, wow, this is really
Opening up for someone you looked up to,
Yeah.
a venue that just you couldn't believe you got a chance to work there, anything like that.
Yeah, no, I got to open up for Mark Norman recently.
That's
and,
awesome.
I'm a big fan of his, and
Fantastic.
the best part of the entire experience is he's a really nice guy. And
Yeah.
that's nice to see because
yep.
They say don't ever meet the people you look up to, but it's nice when
When they turn out really cool. Yeah.
And, he was extremely cool even when I was like extremely nervous.
Yeah.
And he was just a super cool guy. So
Really?
it's overall a great experience.
That's awesome.
That was recently.
Yeah, that was pretty recently. That was probably in September
Yeah. September of last year.
last year. Yep.
Very cool. Now you work every year at the Rogue Island Comedy Festival, don't you? Pretty much.
Yeah, I started out volunteering,
Right.
and it turns out if you volunteer enough, they have to put you on because they feel guilty. They can't just have you
Right.
working for free and not give you anything.
This poor bastard stacked 80 chairs. We got to give him a 5-minute
You
spot.
have to. That's, a lot of comedy is just quid pro quo.
Being right. Yeah, being there. Right.
Now you must have met some cool people going down there for that every
Oh,
year because he's
yeah,
had some great comics come through there.
I
You just killed me.
Still volunteer because I really like what he's done with it, and
Right.
That's what I
It's
like
a great
comedy
festival.
to be. Yeah,
It's a great
that's
festival.
what comedy should be.
Yeah.
and
we
I'm
didn't get
happy
to go last year, but we have been in the past couple of
Yeah,
years. and-
I've been there, and you guys have done your podcast.
Yeah,
it's just,
it was fun.
It's a great time, and it's always a great time. So I'm happy to.
Yeah.
just be
it's a
part of
very, I think, because it's run by a comic, because not all comedy festivals are run by comics, like Boston Comedy Festival with Jim McHugh. Absolutely. When a comedy festival is run by a comic, it's a comics festival. They know how to treat comics. They're not treated as just talent. They're treated as like the reason why people are coming out,
Yeah, no, it's he's done a great job, and
we got to get him back on.
Continues to be just a really great time.
Yeah. And now they've expanded to 2 weekends.
Yeah, last
spring and fall.
Yeah, last season they had Eddie Pepitone, and he's
Yep.
phenomenal.
God, he's borderline a legend. I mean,
he's,
if you're in comedy, you definitely know him.
Right.
And a lot of people outside of comedy know him. He's been around for a while.
Well, he's the voice of I believe Gene from Bob's Burgers.
Right.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And he does bits that are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But he makes it work, which is impressive and something that I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Just take these wild premises that are just, creative and just new and just so weird, and just to make them work, and just it's very impressive. And he yells a lot too, so it's that's part of it.
I've heard him on Mark Maron's podcast,
Yeah.
and even having a conversation, he's yelling the whole time.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love guys that aren't afraid to take, off the wall things like that and make something of them. Because a lot of comedians, and I include myself in this, stay in a certain comfort zone. My writing for a while got to a point with jokes that I followed a formula that I knew that worked,
Mm-hmm.
and I stayed in that formula because I knew it would work. And I've been trying to ever since we got out of the lockdown of the pandemic, I try to do something new every time I go on stage and not necessarily do it the same way I've always done it. Just do something completely different and knock myself out of that comfort zone to kind of stretch my legs a little bit and not worry about it's okay if that joke bombs. It's not be afraid of it.
I've tried to do more like ideas and new material at shows that regardless of what I'm hired for, I just try and stick something in. Like at the bowling alley gig, I did some dating stuff that I combined some older dating stuff with some newer dating stuff, the Tinder and Bumble thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And it went really well. And I still don't have the wording worked out on that side of it, but now it's a decent sized chunk between the older dating stuff and the newer one.
Well, my mother and I share a birthday, and we had her over for dinner, and 4 days later I'm doing a show and I tell the story about having my mother over for dinner because she did a lot of things that irritated me that night. And I tried to put it in a joke for him to tell the story, and I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go out and tell it and see if I can get a laugh out of telling this story and work it. And I'm trying to do more of that.
And you did it at that show that we did up in Bow, New Hampshire, and it went well.
That's right. I did tell it there, and it's starting to kind of
had ups and downs, but
it's not fully formed, but it's a real story.
But that's the great thing about a real story is when it goes ups and downs, if it doesn't end on a high note, you go, guys, that's not a bit. That's just what happened last Thanksgiving.
Well, and they
laugh.
Right. And that's what I said. I said, I'm sorry, that wasn't a joke. I was just venting.
Yeah.
And then they laugh along with you. And I'm trying to do that a little bit more.
Yeah.
How have you been finding things since, the lockdown and coming out with, because obviously going into all that, you were only a couple years in. And now, since then, how have you been finding things?
I've been changing my writing. Which is good. I've been I learned a lot about how to write a joke, and I'm trying to transition into you guys think this is funny to I know this is funny. Let me make it funny,
right?
Which is just really hard to do. So now that I know a little bit more about how to write a joke, I can start to get into some of the stuff that I really want to talk about and make jokes about. I've been writing up a storm. It's the best time for writing for me in a while. Actually, I've written some really good stuff.
Do you think that's because you're not in school anymore, or?
I think I've just lived more life.
Yeah. No, that what, you bring up a good point, because I remember being in a couple of comedy groups on Facebook, and someone had brought this concept up. They're like, if all you do is go to open mics and live in comedy,
not good, man.
You're not going to grow, because you need to be able to pull from real world experiences to bring it into comedy. And if you're not living in the real world, if you're not going out with your girlfriend or going to dinner or going on weekend trips or going on vacations, you're not going to have anything to pull from for new material if all you do is go to comedy shows.
That's not the audience. Your audience is going to be made up of comedians. However, I will say this: I do want comedians to like me. Ideally, my perfect scenario is to be like a comedian's comedian who also has a following. That's what I would like.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised, because when you named your two kind of heroes you looked up to, those are guys that are well respected by comedians.
Yeah.
Right. So they're comedians, if you will.
Right.
So I'm not surprised to hear you say that. So
yeah. And I want the people I like to like me, like everybody else. Think I like comedians the best.
Right.
It's my form of socialization. Really, it's just going to open mics and shows.
Right.
Are you still hitting a lot of open mics now?
Yeah, I have to. I don't get booked enough to just do the new material on stage. I do, but I get booked a lot more. But I gotta still work on it.
Yeah. Right. Well, in all fairness, Scott did offer you a show beforehand, before we went live, and you turned him down. So And it would have been
Yep.
working with me, just saying. But
Yep.
Yeah,
you know, but
it would
evidently
have been a really good show.
you don't
and it
like
looked
working
really
with
fun.
me. Evidently,
Yeah,
I ruined that.
I checked with them today, and they're doing really well with ticket sales.
I'm
and
really
everything.
glad that last guy seemed really nice. He has a nice beard, that Cody guy.
Yeah,
He,
we'll have him open.
Yeah,
No,
audition
kidding.
for you. That's cool. I can't imagine having that many people come out to see me like 5 years in. You know how you burn out everybody who comes to your comedy shows? I don't
Right.
think I could like scrap together a ragtag band of
No.
people to. It's amazing. That's
You know, it's funny you say that because same thing. I'm 20 years, this month, and I would have trouble scraping together 10 people to come to one of my shows unless, hey, well, I'm doing a show at the Bradley. Do I have to pay for tickets? Well, yeah, it'd be kind of nice. If you give me free tickets, I'll go, maybe, type of thing. Cody last year put together a show at this smaller place in Putnam, Connecticut called The Complex. It's like a black box type of theater place where they did music and comedy, and he sold the freaking thing out.
Wow.
Yeah, he packed the place on a Sunday night. He has such a great support system and fan group behind him. And I'm thinking, what do you gotta do to get that type of support?
be more likable. Scott.
It's got to be because I'm too much of an asshole to people, I guess.
I just realized that to tie it into my, me with religion, I just realized that I've been doing comedy as long as Jesus was alive.
You should say that during a show.
That
You
is,
should
that is-
33 years.
You should
33
say
years.
that during a show.
I'm so old that I have outlived my comedy career is just about to outlive Jesus.
You do the wedding at Cana bit and go, wow.
I've been doing that.
I just realized I've been doing that a bit longer than Jesus was alive.
So brutal. Yeah, that won't get me kicked out of a fucking church show. Oh my God.
It is amazing.
So-
He was like what, 33?
He was 33 when he
33.
died. Yeah. And I've
Yeah.
been doing comedy 33 years this year. 33 years in July.
I'm 28. I gotta get my shit together. People don't even worship me. Right?
No, yeah, no shit.
You're
And-
way behind.
And I was in comedy 5 years before you were even.
He was a licensed
born.
carpenter in the
Yeah.
union by
That's
now.
right. Exactly.
You
shitbag. No. So
I just want a cult. Is that too much to ask for?
I know. So what other like wow moments have you had? Obviously, working with Mark Norman was a huge thing. Being at the Rogue Island Comedy Festival. Any other things like going on road trips?
I haven't been on a single worthwhile road trip with another.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not a- why does it say L next to my name? They have a board. The viewers can't see it. The board of all the people's schedule, and there's
Means
an L.
It means live. It means you're in the studio.
Oh.
Because a lot of people don't come, believe it or not a lot of people want to make the trip to
Pay
Rhode
no
Island.
attention to the schedule behind the
Yeah,
curtain.
exactly. There's a schedule up on the wall behind.
He's reading the
Yeah,
schedule
really good
board.
And
comedians
he's
on there,
fixated
too.
on the fact that it says L next to his name,
Doug
which just
Stanhope,
means
Dane Cook, Robert Kelly.
shh, don't give
Those are
away
the
Oh.
people we've turned down.
yes, exactly. Those are the people we said we just don't have time. We've got James Firth on this week.
True.
No. So have you been on any other road trips besides the one that we went on?
I've been on a few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any outstanding moments like on ours?
No, I've been on a few. They've just been very drive a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes stay over. That was the most eventful road trip. I haven't been on many. That's
Well,
the
Yeah.
thing.
Road-
Do you always get the
Sometimes staying over kind of qualifies it as a road trip, just so you know.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah.
Driving a long distance to do a show and driving back is not
a road
technically
trip,
A road
yeah.
trip.
I'll learn that in a couple of years, maybe.
Yeah.
But I've only done a few. So
Yeah.
that was the only university I've ever done.
Yeah.
And usually they don't provide accommodations.
No.
Times are tough, man.
Here's the funny thing. So, because I don't think we talked about it on the panel show, right?
No.
About the road trip.
When we
So-
had him on with the other younger comics,
Yeah.
we talked about, starting comedy nowadays and being a younger comic. We didn't get into the meat of those guys individually.
So for the audience, I had a gig up at Castleton University up in Vermont.
a small Liberal arts college.
Yep, small college. Great crowds though. I'm not gonna lie, they were fantastic.
Even for James.
Well, the first
A
time,
lot of white people.
yes,
It's Vermont.
it's Vermont.
Yeah.
The first time I did it, I brought Brad Pierce,
Oh, jeez.
and we were in the cafeteria. The next time I did it, Brad, I was like, I'm gonna grab James, and James came up. This time they put us in like an upstairs like function room of the cafeteria because we were so popular the first time that they gave us our own room, but it was more conducive to comedy. And there was maybe 75 kids there, right? 50 to 75.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. Yeah. And we had a great time driving up and a great time driving back. And James, we were put up in this bed and breakfast that looked like, I won't say the Haunted Mansion at Disney, but if you remember the Weebles,
Oh, jeez, you're going way
remember
back.
the Weebles
Weebles
mansion,
wobble, but they don't
fall down. Yeah, it looked like the Haunted Mansion or the haunted house for the Weebles. I think
it was actually a funeral home.
it
I'm
used to
pretty
be a
sure.
funeral home
it
because
had the drive.
it had that. Yeah, it had that like carport drive-through that you drive under. But the funny thing is, so we text them and we're like, all right, we're going to be there. We were running a little bit late. So we said, we're just going to go to the show. Is that all right? And the guy was like, he texted us back and he was like, well, my wife goes to bed at 9, but I'll wait up for you. And we're like, okay. So we go and we do the show. The kids are like, hey, do you guys want to come out after? And we're like, no, we got to get back. We got to check into the place we're
You're not
staying
going to
at.
get a room.
Well, we're not going to get a room. We walk in. James, I want you to tell the story of what was the experience like for when we walked into the place.
Well,
it looked like, what the guy looked like.
Yeah, it was just a very creepy, like it looked like the Clue Mansion, like
The Clue Mansion.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
It's just a very old style. What's that movie? Knives Out. Like it was a very Knives Out feel.
Yeah.
Like someone died there, but it was that was kind of the vibe. And we walk in, and the guy greets us, and he's wearing a full what was a Navy captain's uniform.
He literally was
Like he
wearing.
was-
We were calling him Captain Stubing behind
Yeah.
his back. I'm not just saying a white shirt, black and yellow epaulets.
He had the epaulettes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The full.
the full
the
fucking
full
Captain
regalia.
Stubing.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was, and we just didn't know what to do because we were right to miss something. I don't, we didn't really notice he greet all the guests like this because he's,
Or did he just like? That's why he was pissed off because he had to stay in that fucking uniform
Yeah.
until 9:30 at night.
You know what? Maybe he was up to some weird shit with his wife.
Yeah, and we interrupted it. Yeah,
'cause she gets
exactly.
to bed at 9 so they can do their weird airline sex thing. And
Doing some role playing.
Yeah, I'm Captain Sully. I'm coming in.
I'm going to land this one on a Hudson.
Yeah.
So, and the best part is like he shows us to our rooms and like I get the better room, like I get the suite,
You
and I'm the
did.
opener. And I'm like, all right, bye, Ace. And then the weird part is. The even weirder part is he shows us like this secret passageway that we can use to get to each other's rooms during the night, just in case.
In case we wanted to visit each other, there's like a hidden back
I don't know,
staircase
maybe
to get to
it
his
gave
room.
like a gay vibe or something, but like a sneaky gay vibe where we
Yes.
had to be in separate rooms.
All of a sudden, he pops in from a different secret passageway in your room.
exactly.
Need anything?
Need any fresh towels? But it was so funny because we're sitting there checking in. And again, we're trying to keep a straight face because the guy is literally wearing a fucking Navy uniform in a bed and breakfast. Like, it's not like
I
we're
don't get the
staying.
theme.
We're not staying on a naval base.
Right.
We're staying at a fucking bed and breakfast that looks like the Clue Mansion.
Was it decorated nautically?
Yes. That's the
Yeah,
great thing. So
it
that was
was.
the best part.
There were like
I have a-
airplanes and like model ships and bottles.
I still have a picture of James sitting in a chair in front of the fireplace in front of like this big model of a ship in a bottle, and he's just pointing to it with a big smile on his face. It was so fucking funny. We had so much fun though. And then the next morning, I'm like texting him. I'm like, seriously, dude, this place is fucking haunted. I heard noises all night, and I was in a smaller room, like he said.
Yeah.
Somehow he got the suite. I guess the guy judged it by height. Evidently, the little guy can stay in the little room. So we get up the next morning, and I'm like, I guess it's a bed and breakfast. I guess we go to breakfast. And sure as that was the thing. Remember at night he was like, so breakfast time is at 8:30 or 10 a.m. Which seating would you like? And we're going, I don't know, like probably the later one. Like we were going to sleep
Very
in.
official, yeah.
But oh my God, it was official. In all fairness, his wife made a very, very nice breakfast.
Yeah,
It was delicious
like the Vermont
breakfast.
cheese or something with the eggs.
Yeah.
Really good.
It was really good.
There's probably people in there.
You guys are
but,
doing a
like,
Yelp review now.
you know,
It was
it's a mixed
good though.
bag, you know, like 2.5, 3 stars. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's 4 stars for creepiness.
I really
3
enjoyed
stars
my
for the
overnight
food.
stay. The secret passageways creep me out,
Yeah.
but
I
the
still-
eggs were
I'm-
delicious.
I'm not lying. Somewhere on this laptop, I have a ton of pictures of me and him from that. I'll show you after we get off the air. But it was a fun trip. We had fun, and James actually got some validation after the show. You
Yeah,
remember
I had a guy in cargo shorts. He was my fan. He was like, "Yeah, I could do comedy," and then nobody else like congratulated me.
Everyone else was around me
Yeah,
going,
they're
"Oh my
around
God,
him.
you're so funny!"
But I had
And I turn around, I go, "Oh, James was here too. You know, he was good."
I
And,
was there.
and one guy kept going.
Yeah,
One really creepy guy was like, "You're my favorite."
yeah.
Jeez.
That's all I need.
That's all he needed.
So you
was that
basically
one.
got a U2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You were so funny. Yeah, you were funny too.
Yes,
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
a U2.
It's my favorite thing when someone doesn't do well and they're standing next to the person that
Did
does
well,
and
yeah.
they have to acknowledge you, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, you were.
They go, you were so funny.
I remember you.
You too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember you. You were on
Their-
stage too.
their expression always changes.
Exactly.
You know.
You know
Or-
what's gonna happen.
or-
Exactly.
Or I've seen them go before. You were hilarious. That was so much fun. Hi.
Yeah, right.
Even worse is the smile. They look at you, smile awkwardly, then shuffle away.
Yes.
And then-
Don't even
yeah,
say
Like
anything.
they're in the middle of like a photograph that's being taken. They do that uncomfortable walk thing that people do.
Yeah, right. So
We should probably
ask him the big question.
yeah, our favorite question.
So we like to ask our guests about don't get nervous. You look like you're nervous.
I'm completely fine.
Okay. All right.
He shows no emotion, whatsoever.
Yeah, you must have been fun as a little baby. Like your parents were
was-
like, I don't
He's
know.
not going to fold
I-
under questioning.
I think he likes his peas, but I'm not
I was
sure.
pretty cool. I was an
All
old
right.
fat redhead.
You know,
I was a little chubby.
really?
Yeah, a little chubby redhead.
Wow. You just send us that picture so we can put it up on the podcast page.
I don't like posting photos of myself as a child.
Well, that's all right. I know your mom and
I'm
dad.
not a rapper.
I know
trying to
where
make
your
an
mom and
album.
dad
he knows
live.
where you
I'm
live.
sure-
He'll stop by and
I'm
pick
sure-
up a photo.
I'm sure they'll let me get a photo. No.
He'll stop by and go through the album when you're not home.
So no, we always ask our guests about a funny bad gig story. And that's the gig. It wasn't funny the night of.
Not
it was
at all.
just a horrible, horrible night and made you probably question whether or not you really wanted to do comedy anymore. But the further away you get from it, we're all sitting in the green room talking about shitty gigs and making each other laugh. And this is the one that you tell. This is your
Yeah.
funny
Or
bad
maybe you
gig
use
story.
this as your one-up story.
The funniest bad bomb I had was I was doing a gig at a nursing home, which is just a great start.
That's I don't know how it could be funny and bad at the same time.
You've already set it up perfectly.
Free show, volunteering my
Brian
time,
Vincent,
being
there you go.
being a good guy, supporting the senior citizens. Shout out to seniors.
I don't think they know how to listen to a podcast. but go ahead.
They're all sleeping
They're
already
sleeping right now.
bed by 9 p.m. So gig
they-
at a nursing home.
in their sailor captain uniform.
Yes.
This booker did a bunch of nursing homes for free. I don't know why he thought.
How is that a equitable situation?
I don't know
Yeah,
why.
right.
I don't know why.
I'm gonna
it
make a
happened.
fortune.
Yeah, right.
I got a great idea.
I don't know why it happened, but I was like, I've never done a nursing home before. I'm sure it's going to be terrible, but hey, why not?
It's called growth.
Exactly. So I pull in, and the show is awful.
Surprising.
What
yeah,
happened? What made it awful? Let's delve into this.
Comedy, a lot of it is about relatability. And when you live in a nursing home, and I don't live in a nursing home and am living my life, I can't really relate to you as people. You just don't get my references. You're old. You're in a nursing home.
And you're living with your parents, so they don't get it.
Not anymore.
And, well, at the time you were.
At the time, yes. Okay,
all right.
okay.
I'm not just.
And Anne Frank didn't live there, so
That's right.
Okay.
that one went
Fair
over
enough.
their heads.
Fair enough.
Hey.
And so yeah, they did not get my they didn't get my references, and I pulled out all the stops. I tried everything I had, and nothing was working. So I switched to the dirtier stuff, which is
always a good. That's always a good choice in the nursing home.
At that point, why not? It's going terribly already.
We might as well really piss them off.
Yeah, I might as well swear and do something for myself. And
he didn't have any Sophie Tucker jokes.
Not a single one.
No.
And so I finished the set. It goes terribly, and I leave because I don't want to be there anymore. Surrounded by these elderly folks who don't have much time left, and I've made what little time they have left worse
a waste.
Being there. So I walked a few of the audience, and I say walked because I wheeled. A couple of them can walk.
There's a new reference. I wheeled
a few of the audience.
Members of the audience.
And as I'm walking out, I pass this gaggle of elderly women.
The fact that you use the term gaggle tells me
use it for geese
down.
as well. It's also used for elderly women.
Yes.
So there's a gaggle of elderly women, and as I'm passing by them and go out the door, I just hear one of them say, "That was a disgrace."
That's almost a compliment.
You should use that in your
compliment.
You should use that in your credit.
Yeah.
James Firth is a disgrace.
And it was so bad that I thought it was great. I was like, that was a terrible experience, but that was so, awful that when you said that now it's funny and I like it.
It made it good. Yeah. Right. It made it acceptable. That's awesome.
It's funny because as we're telling that story, I did a show for John Parada on a Sunday, and he just tells me the address. He doesn't tell me the place, and it's him and I get there, and same thing, like they're wheeling everybody into the room, and it's all senior citizens, and I'm like, all right, I got some stuff that they could relate to, I think, or they could at least remember, hopefully, and it couldn't have gone worse. It could not have gone worse. But Parada goes up after me, and of course, because he's doing his Rhode Island references and he's talking to people in the crowd, destroys.
Of course.
And I'm like, there was nothing I could say or do to get them to do anything. And so after the show, of course, I'm like, hey, what are you going to do? Now, I'd been doing it for probably 12, 13 years. I wasn't new at that point. They're wheeling people out, and some lady goes to me, I hope you have a backup plan.
So people don't give a
little
shit,
do you know,
they
lady.
They just zero filter.
They're running out of time. They got to get to the point.
Yes.
You know what? When
you're
you're
not sugarcoating
when
shit.
you're that age, zero filter, and good for you.
Exactly.
Good for you. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, James, thanks for coming out tonight and hanging with us. We're glad you got to hang with us when we talked to
live
Cody
again.
And hang out with us in the Acement.
Shout out to Cody.
Tonight. And
shout out to Cody. Anything that we can plug for you on social media?
Yeah, what's coming up for James?
Any nursing home shows coming up or?
I'm hosting for Louis J. Gomez at the Connection.
Yep.
I forgot when.
Oh, that's a good one.
Next couple months.
You
that's
might
a
want
really
to
good
look it
one.
up so you show up.
Yeah, but you look at the website and it's up there, and I'll be there. And
you're great at self promotion, man.
Yeah, right.
You're really good at fucking self promotion.
Do you have a website?
No.
I love how
I gotta have like 30 minutes before I have a website. You gotta have time.
No, you don't
Yes, you do have to have time.
No,
Scott.
Listen, no, you don't.
I
You
know
need to have
people-
shows to promote.
Yeah, you just need shows to promote.
That's
That's
it.
all.
Promoting,
And you have that.
Yeah, I don't promote. I don't have to sell the place out. he's gonna sell the place out. I'm
I
just
know.
there, Like I'm just bragging at this point. I'm not trying to get people to go.
We'll be having the same
The people are
conversation
gonna-
in 20 years with him.
Yes.
yeah,
exactly.
I'm never gonna be successful, but I'll be really funny someday, so it won't matter. That's all I want.
You're
I'm
funny
not
now.
gonna sell it out. You're funny now. You're
funny
stupid
now.
prick.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
If your goal is to be a comics comic, you're well on your way. Because I got to tell you,
No one knows you but comics.
I've been on several shows with him
Absolutely.
where sometimes, maybe the audience isn't with you, but you're funny as fucking hell. I did a show one night. You had me do a show for you, a fundraiser show. It was me, James, and I think it was Derek Fonseca, which you can't have three
more different right.
comics
Yep.
on a show, because James's style is very laid back and very cerebral.
Derek.
Then you
is
have
very,
Derek is very animated and over the top.
Yep.
And then my style of humor is completely different than these guys because it's older stuff and everything. And James is in the beginning, and they were dying laughing at his stuff, and I'm in the back crying.
Yeah.
I love that style of humor.
Well, I told you.
And it's not me. I can't do it, but I love it.
I told you when he dropped the P word in the church, I was like, oh shit. I think it's funny, but are these people going to think it's funny? And then all of a sudden I hear the entire crowd
You
laughing.
can say pussy, you don't have to say the P
Oh,
word.
can I?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
We're not
is-
in church.
This is explicit.
All right. Well, I
podcast.
felt because I was
Jesus
telling,
is dead.
I
You
felt
can't-
like I was,
I
like I was, because I was talking about a church show, I was trying to be respectful, but you just fucking
I kinda went
stomped
the
all
other
over that
direction. You
again.
should probably
Yeah,
cut that one.
exactly.
Like,
No, we'd love to say we'd edited it out, but nothing
can't
gets
do it.
edited in this
That's
fucking
okay.
show.
I've done some editing.
What?
Done some.
3 weeks ago, I hear me say, "Hey, folks, we really want to spend time talking to our guests. So if you don't hear us
1 week.
talking about the
We
comic, like the
changed up the
comment
concept
section,
1 week.
yeah, and I still hear them.
Since then, no, you have not.
Okay,
This is me driving a wedge.
yes,
This is all
you're ruining our
part of my-
marriage.
He's over
Thanks,
there.
James.
He's over there like what's his name in The Simpsons? Smithers.
Devious. All right,
That's enough.
that's
All right.
enough of that. All right.
So
Well, James has nothing to promote.
he has nothing to promote.
other than a show that he
His
he
name
doesn't
is
know when it
meaningless.
is. Yeah, he doesn't know when it is.
Someday he'll be funny.
I'm
That's
a
all you
shitty
need to know.
promoter. All right?
You are.
It's all right,
But you know what? Let's bring this up. You're a damn good nurse, and thank you for what you've been doing. Because
Absolutely.
you've been working your ass off. You were in the ICU first, right? Oh no,
just a med surge.
med surge floor, but now you're in the emergency department.
Yeah, I'm trying to be.
So-
So we'll see how. it
Trying
goes.
to be. What do you mean? Did you walk in
Training.
the
We're
hospital and
training? So
Oh,
see,
all right. you'll see if you pass the test?
Exactly.
Somehow, I think you would be a great emergency department nurse because nothing phases you. I could see someone walking in with their arm.
Yeah.
Like
Stay level headed the whole time.
I could see someone holding their leg in their hand and going, "This just came off," and you be, "Okay, we'll just move over to trauma room 3 and we'll take care of that."
Sir, do you have your insurance card on you?
Yeah.
I need you to
No,
fill out
he's a
some
nurse.
forms.
He's
sir.
not billing. He's
No,
a nurse.
Just,
He's not
sir,
asking.
sir, I
But he'd
know
like-
it hurts. I need you to fill out some
I
forms,
know.
sir.
Please calm down, sir. We'll
sir,
get that leg
sir,
back
the yelling is not helping. I need you to fill out these forms.
on. Yeah. Hold on. We'll staple it back on. Give me
Yeah,
a minute.
everybody here's in
You know-
pain, sir. It's not just you.
You know what someone
Stop
said to me
being a
recently?
pussy.
They said I seem like the type of person that would give a charcuterie board to a homeless person. I don't know what that means, but I do know what it means. And this is food. This is what you
Yeah,
want.
right. I can imagine that.
That's
I'm sorry, I don't have any money, but I have this charcuterie board.
Jesus.
Here you go. There's cheese and salami.
That's such a
Oh my
great
God.
description.
If that wasn't such a long sentence, that could be the episode title. But
Oh no, it's spice the pussy up.
spice up the pussy.
Spice up the pussy.
Although we have to put the
Yeah.
asterisks and all that
Oh
stuff.
yeah, sorry.
Because
P asterisk $, $.
yeah,
Why?
why? Yeah,
The
exactly.
rapper.
Scott's already got it down. Awesome.
Oh, I had already had it in my head when he said it.
Editing. Yeah. Except for there's not. But,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our
Hey.
friend James Firth.
Thank you, James.
Cheers to you, James. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. And folks, just to let you know, next week we have a rescheduled guest from when I had COVID. Mr. Corey G is going to be on, another local hilarious guy
Live.
live in the studio. There's a little L next to his name, but I'm sure he won't derail the show and go, what does the L mean next to my name?
But before Corey is on,
Yes.
we're going to go on live at 8:00.
Mm.
Corey will be on at 8:30 at our regular scheduled time, but at 8:00,
Special
go
announcement.
to Behind the Funnies Facebook page for a very special announcement we have about comedy here in Rhode Island. Huge announcement. Join us for that. We're going to have a special guest on to talk about what's going on here. So
That'll be great.
We're gonna have that half an hour conversation about that, and some great guests coming up after that. Some we're really looking forward to. I see. Oh, our good buddy Steve Bajork.
Steve
You
Bjork.
did nail that down.
I did nail that down. So for those that have been listening for years, Steve Bjork was one of our favorite guests, and unfortunately, we had a major sound issue. We had a gremlin.
Season 1.
We had a major gremlin. We were at a great restaurant. We had a fantastic meal, and for some reason, the sound just shit the bed like 20 minutes in, and just I don't know what happened, but so we really want to get Steve Bjork back. We've got, if you are a Rhode Islander and you remember 94 HJY, the original shock jock, and I
Yes.
hate using that term, but she was as big as Howard Stern around here, and really could have gone syndicated. But Carolyn Fox from 94 HJY is going to be coming on. The week before that, we have Eric Hoffer, who was the former owner of the Comedy Connection, also a comic who is out in Hawaii now, running a club. Great comic from Western Mass, Steve Halligan, who has been on Cumulus.
Anthony Cumia.
Anthony Cumia.
You say it
but
wrong,
what's
and
his
I follow
media?
you.
But what's his
Oh, the Compound Media.
Compound Media? He's been on those podcasts a bunch. And later on in May, we've got Rodney Norman coming on, who we've had on before, but it was before he literally blew up on TikTok. His shit on TikTok is hilarious.
Yeah.
Even my kids have seen it, and they're like, "You know him?" I'm like, "I got a picture of him in the basement," you know. So,
At a foosball table.
I'm really working hard to try and get some really great guests on the show, and we really hope you enjoy it. So please keep listening. We really appreciate it. If you enjoy the show, please tell a friend.
Yes.
And just take 2 minutes to just write us a 5-star written review. We can't tell you how much that helps the podcast grow in numbers. So
we would definitely appreciate that.
absolutely.
And other than that,
We will see you
next week.